Lovesick Ellie Volume 1 Review. While Kodansha is committed to offering a varied selection of shoujo series during their first digital-first project, it's quite rare for these titles to transition to print. One of the lucky few is Lovesick Ellie, which Kodansha published digitally for 2017, until reaching its conclusion in 2021. It is a must-have romance, let's find out. Our story follows Eriko Ichimura, a high school student who spends her days by herself dreaming of a perfect romance while watching the most handsome boy at her school, Akira Omi. But Eriko doesn't just keep her daydreaming to herself. She has a whole Twitter account where she tweets out fake interactions with her imaginary boyfriend. Eriko is content to live her life like this, but one day she happens to overhear Akira talking to his uncle Sumi, who teaches at the school. When not around the adoring high school girls that surrounded him, it turns out Akira has quite a grumpy personality. In a panic over having overheard this, Eriko ends up running away from the scene, only to later find she has dropped her phone. Worse still, Akira picks it up and sees her embarrassing Twitter account, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen to our heroine. Luckily for Eriko, Akira promises not to tell anyone at school about her account, provided she keeps quiet about his true self. Eriko agrees and until she votes to give up her fantasizing. She soon realizes that she's more inspired than ever after talking to Akira for real. Meanwhile, Akira begins running into Eriko. More often she finds himself somewhat smitten with her, even despite her questionable pastimes. Lovesick Ellie is a traditional boy meets girl story, and I almost certainly have read 100 other stories like it. The popular boy falling for the quiet, unpopular girl is not a new trope in itself either. The majority of this first volume is filled with the kind of storytelling tricks you find in other shoujo series, such as misunderstandings that could be resolved so much faster if the characters just talk to each other for a moment instead of climbing up and letting the issue fester. Some of this perhaps because author Fujimomo was trying to fast-track the Akira and Eriko getting together, but they more or less have by the third or the fourth chapters of her series. The series was 12 volumes, but the time it ended. So I'm sure the rest of the series will be dedicated to exploring the ups and downs for the relationships, which is more interesting than one day that most shoujo end up focusing on. If the pacing slows down a bit going forward, then I think it could be a good romance series here. Both Eriko and Akira are likable characters, even if they're fairly underdeveloped. In this first installment, Eriko, in particular, is an interesting lead given she divides her time between tweeting about her fantasies and juggling getting closer to Akira in reality. I appreciate that the Twitter account didn't mutually get shelved after Akira finds out either, and instead we continue to see snippets of Eriko's tweets as she boasts fantastical takes on her interactions with Akira. These segments are genuinely funny in its original concept that we haven't seen before in this kind of story. Another element that deserves praise is Fujimomo's artwork, which is clean and quite cute. The author tends to use a lot of smaller panels per page to help keep a scene moving, and I think this works well for the overall flow of the book. What I particularly like about the start is how the expressive Eriko and Akira are in a contrast between their normal selves at school and leading into their real selves, like Akira being bratty or Eriko posting her daydreams. The only things I wasn't a fan of was Eriko describing herself as plain, when in reality, she's plenty cute and could easily stand up beside Akira as his girlfriend with pride. So the visuals are at a bit of odds with the storytelling there, not usually unusual for shoujo, sadly. As previously mentioned, Lovesick Ellie Volume 1 comes to the West thanks to Kodansha and has been translated by Ursula Ku. The translation reads well with no issues to note, and there are some helpful translation notes at the back of the book. All 12 volumes of the series are currently available digitally, while the print releases are up to Volume 3. It seems to be on the bi-monthly release schedule, so it won't be too long until you can buy it at all in physical editions as well. Overall, if you're looking for the best of the shoujo genre, then Lovesick Ellie isn't going to be for you. However, if you're looking for something a little unpolished but with the potential of becoming a real gem, then that's certainly what this one offers. It may be underwhelming right now, but its heart is in the right place, and the shoujo see it jung for a bit longer. A free review can be found on the publisher's website here, 7/10.